What's going on, guys? It's your boy Scrub here, back again with another video. Hope you guys are absolutely having an incredible day. I know I am. If you are, if you could press the like button, I'd appreciate it. If this video doesn't get 69 billion likes, then no joke, no scam, an alien will come into your room and probe you, and he's not gonna use any lube. That's right, guys. Prepare your booties, because ET is coming, and trust me, he's gonna make you want to phone home. Other than that, today we're gonna be talking about the craziest co-worker, I guess, I've ever had. This dude was actually nuts. Like, actually one of the craziest people I've ever met in my entire life. But I figured you guys would really enjoy the story and have a great time listening to it. So that's exactly what we're going to be doing today. So without further ado, get it, bedet it, don't you forget it, or whatever I normally say. Let's get into my crazy coworker doing Adderall and punching babies in the throat. So my first job was all about, working at a grocery store. And for some reason, every now and then we would get like an adult to come do the job that only like 15 and 6-year-olds were doing. And this guy, I'm gonna name him Clarence. Clarence was a guy who ended up working at our store, and he was 60 years old. And just to put this in perspective, the oldest bagger other than Clarence was a 22-year-old, all right? So he was far and away the oldest man I have ever seen work this job in my entire life. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but I just need you guys to know that he was a 60-year-old man. And the first time I met Clarence, here's basically what happened. I walked up and said, "Hey man, I'm Ryan, nice to meet you, blah, blah, blah. It'll be fun working together." And he looks at me and said, "I've had 4 divorces." And I was like, "All right, Clarence, good to know. Not really sure why you're telling 16-year-old me about your 4 divorces, because honestly, I don't even know you like that, and it's a kind of weird way to start a conversation. Like, we should all just start every conversation when we meet someone with the worst thing that's happened in our life. Hey, yo, what's up? My name is Ryan, and Chuck E. Cheese himself actually fisted me at a pizza party. That is correct, guys." Like, no one wants to hear any of this when they first meet you, okay? But whatever. He opens up with the fact that he's had 4 divorces, and I don't even know how they expected this guy to be able to push carts, because he could only walk with one leg. Like, one of his legs didn't work well. He was really chubby. It was not the type of person that you would expect to do a physical labor job. Like, for the most part, this first job I had was very much physical labor. And this meant that he basically didn't have to do any work, and he would just pass it off onto whoever was willing to do it for him. Like, if he had a time to go out and do the work, he'd be like, "Oh, I can't. I need someone to do it for me." And of course, the bosses would make us listen to him and go do what he wanted us to do, which was really annoying. It just disrupted the workflow. And he would talk about his divorces all the time. I'm not even kidding. By the end of the first day of me and him working together, I could tell you which marriage, why it fell apart, what year it fell apart, how they met. Like, he was really hung up on these divorces things, okay? And look, I know divorces can probably be hard, all right? But like, I'm 16. I don't know what you want me to do, bro. What should I do about my ex-wife? I don't know. The closest thing I have to an ex-wife is a girl I dated in 8th grade. Is that really the advice you want from me right now, man? I don't know. But whatever. He also believed, and I found this out working with him over the next couple days, is that everything bad that has ever happened in his life, every time, he's been pulled over, every time he's had a divorce, every time he hurt his leg, every time anything bad had ever happened to this guy in the history of his 60-year-old life, it was the fault of evil spirits. Evil spirits were chasing him down in order to ruin his life. And you know what? Maybe, right? Maybe you'd have a claim to, evil spirits trying to ruin you if you weren't just somebody that was, chilling at a grocery store with 16-year-olds all day. I feel like evil spirits will definitely have more important things to do than come bother you and be like, "Oh man, that Richard guy? Yeah, we hate him. Clarence deserves to die." But whatever, I guess that evil spirits were just trying to ruin him, of course. And oh my gosh, the evil spirits made me think he was crazy. It's all making sense now. Clarence was right all along. But I swear, it's like at every turn possible for this guy to become slightly more normal, he would take an even crazier turn. One day I came in for work on a Saturday morning early, I think like 7 a.m., and I go into the back break room area, and sitting there in the dark with a candle that could only be described as a hot Cthulhu on it is Clarence, and he's sitting there humming to himself. And anyways, I opened the door. I didn't know he was in there meditating, all right? And he kind of looks up on me and he goes, "You're interrupting my religious session." And I'm like, "Oh, okay." And he proceeds to start explaining to me that he's in this church where they pray to the squid goddess, and she's supposed to get rid of the evil spirits that are ruining his life that he told me about the other day. And I'm like, "Oh, so you're crazy, you're in a cult." And he basically explains that he has to give 75% of all the money he makes to this cult so that way the demons don't eat him. And something tells me if your religion goes, yeah, man, you can buy the way out of the evil spirits, they're probably scamming you. But hey, to Clarence, this was perfectly normal. Religions are supposed to just make you pay to get rid of the evil spirits that are supposedly taking your life and destroying you, alright? So in the first week of knowing this man, I find out that he's in a cult, has 4 ex-wives, can't work at the job he just got, not to mention on top of all these things that I'm telling you about right now, he is always complaining about his ex-wives. That's basically everything I've learned about this guy in the first week of working with him, right? But one of the ex-wives he was super into was his 3rd ex-wife, and her name was Gina. And I don't know what Gina did to Clarence. I don't know what you know, Clarence did to Gina. I'm not sure of the whole story. All I know is he was obsessed with her and would constantly tell me when we were like working together that she had no right to live without him because in accordance with ancient Jewish law, they were married forever. So, yeah, there's only one problem with this. Clarence wasn't Jewish, so I brought this up one time. I'm like, hey man, I know you always talk about how Gina should be with you because of like ancient Jewish law or whatever, but you're not Jewish, so how would that lie apply to you? And he starts talking about how basically in Germany, Jews kind of made the law and he's German, so therefore the laws apply to him. And at this point, I'm realizing there might be meth involved, right? Because there's literally no way I can understand what's coming out of his mouth at this point. And then he proceeds to tell me that the church that he goes to is mad at him because he hasn't been donating 75% of his money because he couldn't afford to live without it. So he had to move back in with his 90-year-old mother to support him so that way he could pine for Gina, so that way they could be reunited under the Jewish laws of marriage. So we're working together for a few weeks, and then he starts inviting this one girl coworker that we had to, you know, work. He's like, oh, you should come over. My family's coming over. Like, we can have a great time. And the girl coworker is definitely not super down for this because, like I said, he's a creepy old dude that always complains about his 4 ex-wives and how they need to be with him. It's under the Jewish law. Yeah, definitely not the type of person where you're like, yeah, I want to go hang out with this dude and go on a date. But whatever, he keeps pestering this girl to go to his house. So I guess she finally does, right? Like, she finally does, and he promises her it's a family gathering and his family will be there. She's there for 2 hours and nobody shows up, and we couldn't figure out if he had lied and, like, the family just never showed up and, like, ditched him, or if it was just a ploy to get her to come over. But he starts pressing her to, like, start drinking wine with him and, you know, how they're supposed to be married and how he's supposed to have multiple wives under his cult's religion. And so finally she leaves, and the next day he comes into work and he keeps talking about how great their date went and how they're dating now and how they're boyfriend and girlfriend, and I'm like, dude, she's like barely 18, you're 60, and also, it was not a date. She was trying to be nice and go to your family gathering, man. Like, this is not what you think it is. So whatever, that's the first strike that he really gets from our work. Those two can't work together anymore because he's just being weird about it, and she's obviously uncomfortable, so they're not allowed to work together anymore at all. So then Clarence just starts trying to do this weird thing where he would, like, come up to us from behind and, you know, touch us and grab us and be like, I can feel the spirit coursing through you. And, you know, when you're at work, the last thing you want to do is get touched by a 60-year-old man. That's just not on my #1 list. Like, never once on my bucket list has it been, you know, before I die, I want to get felt up by a 60-year-old man. So then this starts going on too. He basically introduces this girl to us at work one day as his sister, which I mean is pretty weird. Like, he brought her in to introduce us. I don't know if he thought we were like a family or something, but imagine somebody just kind of walking up to you and being like, ah, this is my girlfriend, or sorry, not my girlfriend, my sister, while you're at work. It's just kind of a bizarre, weird thing that you don't expect to see or you don't expect to run into. I didn't really know how to take it, but he introduces us to his sister. His sister. He introduces her as his sister. And then she starts coming in when he's not at work and starts asking and telling us to tell him that she loves him and wants him back and that the relationship can work. And we're all like, bruh, this is your brother, right? And she's like, no, I'm his girlfriend. He introduced his girlfriend as his sister to try to get with the girl that he invited over to his family gathering so that way she wouldn't be jealous. So at this point, the owners of the store are getting really fed up because this is just weird. He's harassing the girl that he invited over to his house. He's being weird. His sister's coming in like every day to confess her love for him whenever he's not working. It's bizarre. Nobody's having a good time, right? So we do this Christmas thing at our work too. I was there for 2 Christmases where you get a Secret Santa, basically. You get somebody's name and you have to give them a gift, and it's usually a pretty fun time. You get to give gifts to your coworkers. You have a good time. You know each other pretty well. You're usually friends. But for some reason, some idiot at Secret Santa decided to give him That's right, give Clarence the girl that we worked with that he had a giant crush on. And of course, Clarence, donating 75% of money to his cult and having a giant crush on this girl, does some pretty creepy things when it comes to giving the gift, alright? So she opens the gift and it's basically a card repeatedly saying that she's the one for him and that they're meant to be together and that they're in love and there's nothing that can keep them apart because they're just meant to be, and how he's their spiritual wife. And at this point, the workers, you know, they decide to, or the owners decide to let him go because he's basically stalking this poor girl. He's giving her Christmas gifts where he's basically saying that they're going to be together forever and that they're spiritual partners for life. It's just not a good look. So he gets fired, and of course, he does not take it very well. But I'm going to end this part here. I will have a part 2 tomorrow because surprisingly, he was attached to me too. We're going to get more into that tomorrow. But yeah, that's going to do it for this. Hopefully you enjoyed. If you did, please press the like button. Let me know in the comment section down below what you thought. Subscribe, follow me on Instagram at Scrubby, and yeah, I'll see you guys tomorrow with part 2 of the My Crazy Coworker thing, where I basically find Clarence sleeping in my driveway. That's right, no joke, no scam. Poor guy was really going through some stuff.